Hi everyone, this is Eagle News. I am Jeff Sanidad in Washington. It's Saturday, September 24, 2022. Here in the nation's capital, this week's recap begins now. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres warns international leaders of a looming winter of global discontent in a world beset by multiple crises from the Ukraine war to a warming climate.
Excellencies, we need action across the board. Let's have no illusions. We are in rough seas. A winter of global discontent is on the horizon. A cost of living crisis is raging, trust is crumbling, inequalities are exploding, and our planet is burning. People are hurting, with the most vulnerable suffering the most.
Guterres urges wealthy nations to tax fossil fuel companies and use the proceeds to compensate for damage from the climate change and provide relief over rising prices.
Meanwhile, the fossil fuel industry is feasting on hundreds of billions of dollars in subsidies and windfall profits, while households' budgets shrink and our planet burns. Excellencies, let's tell it like it is. Our world is addicted to fossil fuels, and it's time for an intervention. We need to hold fossil fuel companies and their enablers to account.
In related news, world leaders and goodwill ambassadors meet during what is described as a critical point in the world when much effort is needed in saving what can be saved of the environment. Joan Soriano reports.
The UN Secretary-General and the President of the 77th General Assembly joined world leaders and goodwill ambassadors in a global call to rescue the Sustainable Development Goals and get back on track to building a better world that leaves no one behind. The UN Secretary-General said the meeting happens at a critical point in the world and urged countries to take more action. Listing several crises, this is what Mr. Guterres said.
Each peril is pushing the Sustainable Development Goals further out of reach. And in the face of such perils, it is tempting to put our long-term development priorities to one side, to leave them for a sunny day. But development cannot wait. The education of our children cannot wait. Dignified jobs cannot wait. Comprehensive health care, meaningful climate action, biodiversity protection, this cannot be left for tomorrow. And we need to save our planet, which is quite literally on fire. This means addressing the triple planetary crises of climate breakdown, biodiversity loss, and pollution. It means supporting the global biodiversity framework to transform how we use and preserve our natural gifts for the future. And it means moving away from our suicidal dependence on fossil fuels and jump-starting the renewable energy transition in every country.
The actress and UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador Priyanka Chopra Jonas also highlighted the importance of this moment.
We meet today at a critical point at our world, at a time when global solidarity is more important than ever. As countries continue to struggle from the devastating effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, as the climate crisis upends lives and livelihoods, as conflicts rage, and as poverty, displacement, hunger, and inequalities destroy the very foundation of the more just world that we have fought for such a long time.
Kasaba Korosi, the president of the 77th session of the General Assembly, also participated in the event, asking for initiatives from the civil society.
The voice and passion of the youth, the support of the private sector, but most importantly, you, the member states, to deliver on promises made. The 17 global goals are the to-do list. They must be the to-do list of all leaders in this room. We are the people who can get the to-do list of the world done.
Namzamo Umbatha, an actress and UNHCR Goodwill Ambassador, also told member states that it is time to come together and check off the world's to-do list.
It is time to come together and check off the world's to-do list. It's time to be bold, to double down on our ambitions and actions to create a better, more peaceful and prosperous future for everyone.
In a video showed in the General Assembly Hall, the members of the group Blackpink warned that the climate crisis is getting worse, and there isn't a single moment to lose.
Deny that the climate crisis is getting worse. There isn't a single moment to lose. That is why SDG 13 for climate action is so important. It can truly make or break our efforts across all global goals.
We must seize this moment and take actions to create a world that is more sustainable and leave no one behind.
The artist Judith Hill then performed before the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, closed the event.
There are as many people living in poverty today as there were in 2015 when the 2030 Agenda was adopted. The truth is that everything from COVID to climate change to international conflict makes the solutions we need more complex and interconnected than ever.
Joanne Soriano, Eagle News, New York, New York. We live in extraordinary times.
How many roads must a whale walk wide of sin?
Meanwhile, the United States has been confirmed as a country with what is called circulating vaccine-derived polio virus. What does it mean? Rosel Feria reports.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, announces that polioviruses found in New York meet the World Health Organization's criteria for circulating vaccine-derived poliovirus, or cVDPV. This means that poliovirus continues to be transmitted in Rockland County, New York, and surrounding areas. CDC says the cases found in New York are both from the case of paralytic polio in an unvaccinated adult in Rockland County and in several wastewater samples from communities near the patient's residence. Based on earlier reports, the virus's genetic sequences from the patient from Rockland County, New York, and wastewater specimens collected in state have been linked to wastewater samples in Jerusalem, Israel, and London, UK. This link indicates community transmission. The viral sequences from the patient and from 3 wastewater specimens had enough genetic changes to meet the definition of a vaccine-derived poliovirus, or VDPV. The U.S. now is among 30 other countries where cVDPVs have been identified. cVDPV occurs when local immunity to poliovirus is low enough, allowing prolonged transmission of the original weakened virus in the oral polio vaccine. CDC warns that as the virus circulates and more genetic changes occur, the virus can regain its ability to infect the central nervous system. This infection causes paralysis. The health agency notes that cVDPVs are not caused by a child receiving the polio vaccine. Oral polio vaccine has not been used or licensed in the U.S. since 2000, but continues to be used in some countries. Director of CDC's National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases, Dr. Jose R. Romero, reiterates that polio vaccination is the safest and best way to fight this debilitating disease. He warns that polio is dangerous and cannot be cured. The New York Department of Health urges that all New Yorkers who are unvaccinated, including children by 2 months of age, those who are pregnant, and people who have not completed their polio vaccine series previously, should get immunized right away. It warns that unvaccinated New Yorkers, or those not up to date with immunizations who live, work, go to school in, or visit Rockland County, Orange County, New York City, Sullivan County, and Nassau County, are at the highest risk of contracting paralytic disease. As of this report, no additional cases of polio have been reported in the country. Rosel Feria, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration warns consumers about social media trends that lure people to misuse non-prescription medications. Often targeting the youth, these video challenges can be harmful to people and even deadly. Non-prescription, also called over-the-counter or OTC drugs, are readily available in many homes. This accessibility makes these video challenges even more risky. Social media challenges include encouraging people to cook chicken in OTC cough and cold medication, presumably to eat. Another one urges people to take large doses of an OTC allergy medicine to try to induce hallucinations. Reports of teenagers needing to go to the emergency room or, in some cases, dying after participating in these challenges and taking too much medication have prompted authorities to sound the alarm. OTC drugs pose significant risk if they are misused or abused and can lead to serious heart problems, seizures, coma, or even death. The FDA says it has contacted TikTok and strongly urged the social media company to remove the video challenges from its platform and to be vigilant in removing the additional videos that may be posted. Parents are also encouraged to lock up medications to prevent accidental overdose. In Pennsylvania, the state government is exerting extra effort to win its fight against hunger. Myla Simbulan tells us what the state is doing to feed its senior residents. Myla?
Just recently, we reported about a program here in Pennsylvania to fight hunger among students. The state continues its fight against hunger. This time by feeding older Pennsylvanians through the Senior Box program. In early 2021, Pennsylvania was at risk of having its approved caseload for the Commodity Supplemental Food Program, now more than favorably coined as a Senior Food Box Program, decreased. The program was underutilized by Pennsylvania's eligible population of older adults. More than 300,000 Pennsylvanians are eligible to receive the food through the program. However, as of May 2021, only 28,000 were taking advantage of the opportunity, noting that seniors often face barriers to access food assistance programs because of issues such as transportation, mobility, or technology. The Department of Agriculture is set to work to improve awareness and accessibility for the program.
How many folks call food commodities? The point is that we rebranded, as the governor noted, to the Pennsylvania Senior Food Box program, right? Pretty descriptive, right? It is about a box for seniors full of food. It doesn't get any easier than that. That was important. We also removed some of the barriers about income verification. That was a lesson during COVID. Listen, at the end of the day, you have to feed people. It's not about trying to figure out whether everybody fits within the left and right margins of the income. Ultimately, you get there, we do that through self-declaration. We now have that in place.
Since efforts began to reinvigorate the Senior Food Box program in May 2021, distribution has increased by more than 20%. Myla Simbulan, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Several stories from Thomas Likeness, movie theaters reopening in Kashmir after 2 decades. World's used cars parking in Africa, and McDonald's reopening in Ukraine. This and more of this week's correspondents at large.
And now news and commentary from around the globe. Remember this past week when U.S. President Joe Biden said the pandemic is over? Well, not so fast. As well as American public health experts, the chief medical officer of the European Medicines Agency says scores of people are still dying from COVID-19 every day. Stefan Thurstrup says given those numbers, he has no idea why Biden thinks the pandemic is over.
I can obviously not answer why President Biden came to that conclusion. What is clear to me, and what should be very clear from Dr. Cavalier's presentation, is that we in Europe still consider the pandemic as ongoing.
Thurstrup says, sure, there are fewer cases, but he warns the pandemic is still ongoing. Incidentally, in the U.S., the infection is still claiming about 400 lives a day. He says every country should be rolling out booster campaigns before winter. Why is that? Simple. When it's cold outside, people stay indoors, in closer proximity. Just the conditions viruses love. That's why there are big flu outbreaks in the winter, not summer. Same with COVID. How protected against COVID are you so that you can survive these coming months? Do you like going to the movies? If so, I bet you missed it during the pandemic lockdowns. But just be thankful you didn't live in Kashmir. The silver screens in that part of the world in the Indian-administered state have been dark for decades. Matter of fact, the last theater closed in 1999. But starting next week, they'll begin to reopen. Movie theaters were shut down by rebel groups opposed to Indian rule. Insurgents claimed that Bollywood blockbusters were avenues for cultural imperialism. So what became of these picture palaces? Well, many of them were used as detention and interrogation centers. Some are still used by soldiers as staging posts. But with a change in government attitude, the first Cineplex will open October 1st, with 10 more to follow. Interesting fact, half of the public school students in one Kashmir city have never been to a movie theater. The automotive file now. In much of Africa, the used car business is hurting the environment. Africa has become a dumping ground for used cars. In fact, the continent is the biggest destination in the world for pre-owned vehicles. Between 2015 and 2020, a 5-year period, 5.6 million used cars had been exported to African countries. Most of them came from Europe or Japan, but more and more are coming from South Korea, North America, even Arab countries. And a lot of these beaters are more than 20 years old, and that means they put more pollutants into the air. Some of them have even had their emission controls removed. Most of these clunkers couldn't pass inspection in more developed countries. Although several African countries have regulations designed to bring cleaner fuels and vehicles to the market, governments just don't seem to be following through. Something for Ukrainians to take their minds off the war, if only for a few minutes. The Golden Arches are welcoming customers again in Ukraine. McDonald's has reopened 3 restaurants in the war-torn country for the first time since the Russian invasion nearly 7 months ago. The restaurants in Kyiv are only offering delivery service for now, but despite that, people lined up outside to collect their orders from the delivery people. More McDos with drive-through and dine-in service will open next month. It's a taste of what life was like before the war. You know, in those days, the fast food giant had more than 100 restaurants in Ukraine. And even though they've been closed, even though they haven't been doing any business at all, the company has been paying the wages of the more than 100,000 employees. All I can say is that's mighty big of them. Back in 7 days. In the meantime, I wish you all peace, joy, and happiness in the ensuing week. Thomas I. Likeness, Correspondent at Large, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Now let's head over to Papua New Guinea as the nation celebrates its 47th year of independence. Joining in the celebration is our very own Echo Ortaleza Quinola. Here's Oceana at a glance.
Today is the much-awaited day on Papua New Guinea calendar. Let us all witness this fabulous occasion as they celebrate their 47th Independence Day. Today is a remarkable day for Papua New Guinea. 47 years ago today, on September 16, 1975, the country achieved independence from Australia. The atmosphere today here is joyful. The national colors of black, red, and gold are seen all over. As a tradition, the occasion is celebrated with a variety of activities, from cultural dances, to body paintings, to craft fairs, and of course, the wearing of traditional costumes. Citizens beam with pride in celebrating the nation's freedom.
For us here in Port Moresby, we are the nation's capital, so all our people, they congregate here. Many cultures, many traditions, so we try to fuse together. We have a lot of plans and a lot of initiatives that will continue to lift our city and make it a great place. Me personally, I want to see Port Moresby becoming a global city where the entire people of the world, they can come and celebrate with us and enjoy with us. And
Port Moresby Governor Hoes Parkop and City Manager Frank Ravo addressed the people with messages related to this year's theme, One City, One People, One Future. The expression of patriotism here today is such a sight to behold.
So, if the people are happy, I'm also happy. The organizing and arrangement of these events will get better and better. Happy Independence, Papua New Guinea, 47 Independence anniversary. Please celebrate in the spirit of independence. Thank you.
Happy 47th Independence Anniversary, Papua New Guinea. Eko Hortaleza Quinola, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
More celebrations, this time in Australia, where the Brisbane Festival paves the way for spring. Patricia Madronio reports.
The Brisbane Festival, a celebration of arts and culture that stir audience imagination and encourage optimism within the Queensland community. The festival runs for 3 weeks. It started on the 2nd of September and will run till the 24th of the month. Over 60 works of art in various formats and mediums have been commissioned and are presented at the South Bank Parklands location. On site are stunning installations of cruising art boats, immersive light sculptures, the explosive Riverfire show, and a large variety of musical and theater performances, from classical to indigenous to retro pop and even flamenco dancing. Visitors have the opportunity to roller skate and participate in different shows. Add to that, a chance to join youth-led night walks. The celebration definitely welcomes Australia's spring season. Patricia Madronio, Gold Coast, Australia, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Too much sugar and too many processed foods. That is what is behind the low scores most countries are getting on the Alternative Healthy Eating Index. More on that story from Laila Agbalog on Healthy Wealth.
Despite knowing more about nutrition, diets around the world have not improved much in the last 30 years. That's the finding of a global survey of 185 countries done by researchers at Tufts University. They rated diets on a scale of 0 to 100. The average score worldwide was just over 40, and only 10 countries, which represent less than 1% of the world's population, had diet scores of over 50. Diets with lots of fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains score higher than those dinner plates piled high with salted, meaty entrees chased with a sugar-sweetened beverage. The highest score were reported by Vietnam, Iran, Indonesia, and India. Brazil, Mexico, Egypt, and the United States were among those with the lowest rankings. Demographically, researchers found women generally ate healthier than men and older people more so than young adults. The poor diets also take years off of a person's life. Education levels and whether people lived in rural or urban settings also factored into their diets. The scientists say poor diets are responsible for more than a quarter of all preventable deaths worldwide. The researchers suggest governments use these findings to develop policies that promote healthy eating. Laila Agbalog, Los Angeles, California, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Since rebuilding from the wreckage caused by Hurricane Harvey in 2017, local shops in Rockport, Texas are bouncing back. Today, they offer visitors an artistic array of coastal-themed boutiques for a one-of-a-kind shopping experience. Here's Jane Kathleen Gregorio on Color My World.
Welcome to Rockport, Texas. Just a 30-minute drive east of Corpus Christi is the coastal city of Rockport, Texas. Despite the devastation left by Hurricane Harvey in 2017, the city has since rebuilt itself and continues to thrive as a popular fishing and beach destination with a vibrant art scene.
So Rockport is one of those little quaint communities that it's kind of like the diamond in the rough, if you will, whether you're coming from a large metropolitan area or even just Corpus, and you're in a hustle bustle, ready to just hurry, go, 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 and you literally enter the city limits of Rockport and you automatically get this, you're no longer in a rush to get someplace. You live life and you stop and you appreciate things a little bit better. You can go to the art museum, you can you can go to the beach, men can go fishing, wives can go shopping in boutiques, go get your hair done. Lots of different things for anybody to do. We have some amazing shopping, a lot of art.
In downtown Rockport, a variety of boutiques carrying one-of-a-kind, locally made products offer visitors a unique coastal-themed shopping experience. The Coastal Mercantile, for example, offers a variety of kitchen and dining, home decor, including linens, bedding, jewelry, and even has a wedding registry. A unique selection of chalk paints are also available. Just a few steps down the road is another boutique, Songbird Chic, Decor for Your Nest, a store specializing in vintage, antique, and rustic decor for home and garden. Another shop is For the Birds, a retail store featuring fun products such as bird feeders, kites, flags, candles, books, art, stationery, photography prints, jewelry, and much more. Mermaid Ranch is another boutique that offers coastal-themed decor.
The good thing about Mermaid Ranch, not only the owner and the girls that work here, always with a smile, but there's a lot of custom items here. Because Miss Susan likes to be original, so if you can't find it anywhere else, you can definitely find it here at the Mermaid Ranch. And if there's anything that any of us can do to help you find anything or any information, even if it's not with the store, but with Rockport itself, we're always happy to help anybody.
Jane Catherine Gregorio, Eagle News, Rockport, Texas. We live in extraordinary times.
Commending the dedication of the city's thousands of people working in paramedic services, Toronto holds a special awards ceremony for outstanding life-saving individuals. Joshua Santillana on community care.
This week, Toronto Paramedic Services celebrates their Toronto Public Service Week, recognizing outstanding staff and members and celebrating the dedication and hard work of their 40,000 members. In a special ceremony on Tuesday, Chief Paul Raftis, head of the Toronto Paramedic Services, presented awards to 13 deserving individuals who served and provided outstanding life-saving care this past year. The Toronto Paramedic Services is the largest municipal paramedic services in Canada. On top of providing an around-the-clock pre-hospital emergency and non-emergency care and transportation to the residents of Toronto, they also offer public education programs that teach people how to properly use emergency medical resources when needed. Chief Paul Raptis expresses his gratitude for their members and staff who go above and beyond to serve the community, and thus making a difference in the lives of others. Joshua Santillana, Eagle News, Toronto, Ontario.
Today, we share with you a Filipino migrant's dream of someday coming home to the Philippines where life is so much better than when she left it. Anna Cui has the story.
The Philippines tops the list of countries sending migrant teachers through the New Teacher Exchange Visitors or J1 visa program, with 1,521 last year, according to the U.S. Department of State, Bureau of Education. The Clark County School District, or CCSD, in Southern Nevada is one of the many school districts who have filled vacancies with migrant teachers. Of the 883 new teachers hired by CCSD for the current school year, over 100 of them are migrant workers from the Philippines.
It's a J1 visa, so it's all about teacher exchange programs. The program itself is giving you the opportunity or having the experience to teach abroad. And then later on, whatever you learn from that experience, share it back home.
This is not the first time the CCSD has hired migrant teachers. Angel has been teaching here since 2018 and recalls her experience early on.
I myself should be also confident enough. How can I teach these kids if I don't have that confidence? But then that's the very challenging part, because the fact that you're also learning culture, language, community. At the same time, you're learning, but you also have to be prepared in teaching.
But like other migrant workers, work experience is not always the priority when joining these programs.
Most of the OFWs, they come abroad to work out of necessity and not by choice. That's why most of the OFWs been wanting to come home, be back with their families. But then it's the economic status that hinders them, because given a chance to work abroad is actually an opportunity for them to get higher paying jobs.
While it's a great opportunity for migrant workers to take advantage of higher income, Angel talks about the impact it has in the country she left behind.
Like here in Nevada itself, yearly they get 80, 100 or 150 teachers to come here. So it's sad, because teaching profession are the ones that has a significant role in shaping the better future of our country.
In line with the recent state visits of Philippines President Bongbong Marcos, where he highlights his cabinet's new Department of Migrant Workers, said to be fully operational in 2023, Angel, if given the chance, would ask the president these questions.
What are his plans for the OFWs to entice them to come back to a better Philippines? And I would just also like to ask what are his platform to support the teachers in the Philippines in terms of salary, medical benefits, and just by the, even the public school system funding itself, especially under special education program.
These are important concerns to Angel, especially as her J1 visa is set to expire next year. But unlike her early beginnings, she now has her husband to make the rest of her journey easier.
I was able to get him as my dependent. So I'm a J1, he's a J2. For 3 years, it was just me. It's hard being away from your loved ones for that long. It's really tough.
Angel said it's sad to see a lot of professionals leaving to practice their profession in other countries, but says she can't blame them, because despite the string of challenges and sacrifices, they only want to support their families back home. So for those aspiring to work abroad, she gives this advice.
Confidence will help you, is the key for you to go through adjustment. Just have faith, believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, especially if you're starting, it's just gonna be you. And also, it's nice to have your support system. Could be your friends, could be your church.
Angel says this might be her last school year at the Clark County School District as she faces the uncertainty of her J1 visa being renewed.
When you experience to work abroad and to earn this certain amount, it's very hard to come back home. But then if there will be a way to entice OFW to come back home, if there will be a great platform to support professionals, why not stay and just be in my own country?
Anna Cui, Las Vegas, Nevada, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Before we let you go, here are our photos of the week. These are the streets in London, England. Most of them flag adorned. These photos were taken a day after Queen Elizabeth II was laid to rest. Thank you all for joining us again. If there are stories or topics you want us to share with you, just comment below. View, like, share our other shows. City Limits with Alan Basiliahe. Connected with Dr. David. Take a seat and join us with Anna Cui. Playdate with Mike Hudson and friends. Plus, Journey, Stories of Filipinos in Canada with Kathleen Cruz. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I am Jeff Sanidad. We live in extraordinary times. Happy weekend, everyone!